Warning: the following podcast contains adult language and childish comedy. Listener discretion is advised. And now, please adjust your headphone volume to an unreasonable level and enjoy the most dynamic and electrifyingly entertaining podcast ever to conquer cyberspace. This is
Amish Baby Machine.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the most powerful podcast ever created, the Amish Baby Machine Pop Culture Podcast, starring me, Dags. The Amish Baby Machine Pop Culture Podcast is powerful, and as always, speaking of power, is the man of the hour, John E. Rage.
Kudos, Dags. How are you?
Good. We are good. We're excited. Another powerful episode. Every day we bring in new followers to this powerful podcast of Flock of Amish. And you know when I say this is the most powerful podcast ever created?
And you do say that.
Yeah, there is a powerful drinking game if you want to know. Every time that we say powerful, you have to do a shot. But I'm afraid you will go to the ER.
No doubt. You are the man. That you are the consummate professional, though. You can segue like no other.
God bless
in terms of our social medias, how powerful we are. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Dags.
Thank you. You know, and when I talk about power, it's not hyperbole, it's not hyperboil, it's not Susan Boyle, it's real. And you ask, how is it real? Well, I'm going to tell you how it's real.
Let me tell you something, Jack. I'll tell you this. You remember those old wrestling days?
Have you seen the lateral deltoid lately? Mean Gene. So I'm going to tell you, if you go to dictionary.com and you type in Cheetle, Cheetle. Do you know what Cheetle is, Johnny Rage?
I do.
It is for the fans of Flock of Amish that don't know, it's a powerful cheese residue you get from eating Cheetos.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to dictionary.com and type in Cheetle, one of the examples is one of my tweets from at Amish Bee Machine. Can you believe that?
This is breaking news. You never even told me this.
Right now, I want you to, do you have your phone in front of you?
I do.
Are you able to look up on your phone?
You know, Dags, I'm always looking down at my phone, usually. It's kind of hard to look up.
Well, the reason I look up is because I'm constantly taking selfies, and then I feel the up gives me the best angle.
Well, you definitely are up most of the time. There's no doubt. But I want you to know I've got my show notes on my phone right now. So with all these hot topics that are coming, in terms of, let me give you some of the things I want to talk about. We talked about the movies that are coming for 2020. How about this? The movies that we think over the past 10 years that absolutely sucked. We have that compilation here on the Amish Baby. And also, Seth MacFarlane is being wooed from Fox to over to NBC. We have that story to talk about too.
Whoa. So yes, if you go to dictionary.com, type in Cheetle, one of my powerful tweets where I mentioned that first world problem, I couldn't use my phone. The thumb scanner wouldn't work because of the Cheetle. And the tweet was that powerful that dictionary.com used it as an example. Can you believe that, ladies and gentlemen?
Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news here. Could you believe? Wow.
Yeah, listen.
I'm a part.
Listen, Jesse Ventura, there'll be fines and suspensions. Listen, Wally Caribou, we don't care about your fines and suspensions. Let me tell you something, Jack. Last Friday, I was partying with Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. What do you think about that, Jack?
Nobody better, Diggs. Nobody.
The AWA from the powerful Twin Cities where this powerful podcast is broadcast.
You know, Diggs, I started a journey of wellness about 3 weeks ago. We talked about it. And I signed on the bottom line for, you call Planet Hollywood. I kind of like that name better than Planet Fitness. From this point forward, should we call Planet Fitness Planet Hollywood? Okay. So Planet Fitness, is that a planet?
Yes.
Okay. I planet my big ass cheeks on a bike and bike for about 45 minutes. That's what I do there.
Whoa.
But Diggs, I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
Okay, you know when you enter Planet Fitness, or for that fact, any gym, any workout club, you don't have to check in?
Yes, you can check in, but you can't check out.
Don't you think for health reasons they should make sure that a guy like me actually gets out of that place? Wouldn't they be more concerned with that? Like, hey, we haven't heard from John for over 2.5 hours. I think there should be more importance placed on the checkout process than on the check. Everybody's happy and jolly, and they all in good spirits when they get there, but let's keep closer tabs to when people are actually leaving the Planet My Cheeks on the fitness bike. Do you agree with that?
I do. That's a good point. Keep an eye on Johnny Rage.
Uh-huh.
Now, Johnny Rage, let me ask you this. On the way out, do you say goodbye to the staff, the desk?
Well, I usually do, because Planet My Cheeks on the workout bike has these giant farm buckets full of Tootsie Rolls. And there's 2 or 3 of them on the counter. And they actually have purple Tootsie Rolls too. So I'm always there kind of grazing over the Tootsie Rolls. And so when you're there, you're so close, you do say bye.
Now, what do you think about the irony of that, having Tootsie Rolls on the way out?
I think it's kind of like Pavlov's dog. It's like, okay, you worked out, you get your treat. And that's what it is for me. I worked out, I get my treat. If that bucket is empty, I'm stomping my fist on the counter. Where is my Tootsie Roll? So it's kind of like the Pavlov dog theory, I think, is why they give you that little treat, like a dog biscuit type thing.
But my point is, why isn't it something healthy?
Because it's a non-judgmental zone. I mean, for a split moment, you can indulge in just pure Tootsie Roll joyness. Goodness. That's why. I mean, we've already done an hour and a half of hanging and banging. Why subject yourself to any more punishment and have some tofu cake or something there? No. The hay's in the barn, man. It's over. Now we feast on Tootsie Rolls.
I agree. Good point.
Yeah. So that's why. And sometimes I don't only just take one either, but I won't get into that at this point.
You take a fistful. Is it kind of like napkins when you're at the fast food restaurant? And you get those people that take about a quarter of the stack.
Well, see, that you can kind of do it nonchalantly because the napkins are off to the side. But I've always said this about Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, one of the best chick sandwiches out there, chicken. But Pop, there are free refills on Pop, but you have to actually physically go back up to the counter and ask. Okay. And by doing that, you get this awkward feeling. You're kind of standing there. Should I ask them? Should I not? Are they going to think I'm taking advantage? So oftentimes, you just don't even do it. Whereas McDonald's, it's just have at it. It's just a fest of Pop spilling everywhere, ice cubes. Nobody cares. But that's that napkin thing as well as the Tootsie Roll thing. When you're up front and personal with people, you kind of don't take as many as you probably think you should. So napkins, same thing. If it's off, if there's a napkin counter, have at it at that point.
I got busted once when I grabbed a bunch of napkins and a lady behind me yelled at me. So I did get called out once.
What'd she say to you?
She goes, "What are you doing? You don't need that many."
Well, no, it does depend upon what type of food you're eating. If you're at a rib joint, can you have too many napkins? No. If you're at McDonald's, you can probably have too many napkins unless you're eating the McChicken with that tartar sauce on it. It always spills out on my coat, that tartar sauce.
McChicken has tartar sauce?
I'm sorry. The filet fish. I'm thinking chicken over at Chick-fil-A. The filet fish at McDonald's. 9 out of 10 times, that tartar sauce spills out onto my chest and my stomach. So I do need more napkins. if I'm eating a Big Mac, those things are slippery. You'll chew into it and half of it slides out onto your lap and you're like, oh, what a mess I've created. Then you do need more napkins.
I said, listen, lady, I'm sloppy and my name is Joe. Back off. Now, Johnny Rage, let me ask you something we're talking about fast food. We love fast food here on the Amish Baby Machine podcast, the most powerful podcast ever created. Right now, whatever you're drinking, be it water, be it bee juice, whatever it is. What is bee juice? That would be like honey. Honey fermented turns into mead. Powerful. Johnny Rage, what are you drinking right now?
Nothing.
Okay. But to the fans of Flock of Amish, right now, I say salute. Whatever you're drinking, put your glass up, put your bottle up, pour out some for your dead homies, and cheers. Salute. Now, Johnny Rage, I'm going to ask you about beverages. When you go to the fast food restaurants, have you ever been to one that has the refrigerator and it's got the big flat screen and you pick what kind of Coke you want?
I love that one. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you something. I don't think it tastes the same as the regular fountain drinks. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, you're referring to the one that Burger King has them as well as the movie theater has them. And you're talking about where it's all done with an icon and you just simply press? Is that
yes, the circular icons, yes.
Yep. See, now I know when I have that ability to use that machine, it has such a wide variety. I usually roll with a grape fruit punch.
Wow.
So I can't compare it to what a Diet Coke might taste like on a normal fountain machine because of the fact I'm not rolling Diet Coke. I'm rolling with the fruit punch. And to me, it tastes pretty good.
No, you screwed that up, right? It's not grape fruit punch. You just get fruit punch.
No, grape.
Fruit punch. Or just a grape drink.
Grape drink, grape punch, grapefruit punch, whatever you want to call it. I'll punch you in the head. I'll backhand you, whatever I want to do. That's what I'll do.
How about a Hawaiian punch? Would you like that?
Yeah.
A Tahitian treat?
No, not a Tahitian treat yet.
You don't like Tahitian treat?
No, that's like when I was like 6. I've grown up since then.
Whoa.
I don't like Tahitian.
You've grown up to purple drink.
Grape. I've made the transition from Tahitian to grape. Yes.
Purple drink. Good.
That's many years. That took many years to do that too, by the way.
But I'm going to need you next time you go to whatever, the movie theater, Burger King. Go to the high-tech refrigerator, icebox, if you will, and type in your normal Diet Coke and ask me if it tastes the same, because it does not.
Well, we've had this discussion numerous times. I think most fountain drinks don't taste the same, but McDonald's tastes better, and there's a reason for it. They keep it colder, they use metal lines, and they use better water.
No, but it doesn't even taste remotely the same as any other outlet, is what I'm saying. It's the syrup to the carbonated water ratio is off.
Okay.
So next time you go there, fans, Flock of Amish, check it out.
I have had it. I have had the Diet Coke there. I have had it. I didn't notice a marked difference on it. See, I'm kind of odd when it comes to that. I don't like fountain. Diet Coke is my drink of the day. I need one. I don't want it at a fountain either. I want the 20-ounce bottle. And to me, the fountain drink, even though Diet Pop isn't like that bold, doesn't have like a bold taste to it, fountain Diet Coke is more watered down in my estimation. So I never reach for a fountain pop on a Diet Coke. If I go fountain pop, I'm usually going to roll a lemonade or a fruit punch at that point.
Fun fact, Johnny Rage, what do they call a water fountain in Wisconsin?
A Miller High Life brewery.
A bubbler.
That sounds like something in Australia. That's a bubbler. Good day. It's a bubbler.
G'day.
G'day. or what? Or let me take that back. In Wisconsin, a bidet is a water fountain.
Bidet. Oh, I told you the one time at the water park.
Yeah.
You know, they have the for the kids, they have the water shooting out of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, I thought that was a bidet.
Oh, boy.
I apologize to everyone involved.
Oh, boy. I just got this real icky picture in my mind here, and I don't know if I can get rid of it. We have to change the subject.
It eventually,
quickly.
Everything, the water went clean eventually.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Now, Johnny Rage, on this powerful episode, we both enjoyed the first show of the first season of Witcher. We will talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, we'll do powerful rants, tangents, and divergences.
Mm-hmm.
Now, earlier we talked about Cheeto. Dictionary.com, type in Cheeto. You'll see my powerful example of Cheeto. If you want to see more, if you want to interact with this powerful podcast, go to @AmishBMachine on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Amish Baby Machine, Instagram. Follow us on Instagram, Amish Baby Machine. We are everywhere. Fine podcasts are found. Please, wherever you listen to podcasts, leave a review. 5-star review is the best. It will unlock secrets to the universe. Please rate and review. Also, powerful merch. Right now, it's on sale, 35% off. Check it out. We have hoodies, hats, stickers, everything. And everything you buy helps this powerful indie podcast. We love you. Back to Johnny Rage.
Dax, can I make a suggestion for another piece of clothing that the Amish Baby Machine could add to their clothing lineup?
Anything besides the loincloth?
Yeah, I want to add a different one. How about a pirate eye patch with Amish Baby on it?
Oh, I love it.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yes.
Because, I mean, when you look at the logo for Amish Baby, the eyes falling out. So I think it'd be kind of a nice little accoutrement to anybody's wardrobe is the pirate patch. I want it.
I like the way you think.
Thank you.
I like the way you look, too.
I know you do.
We'll talk offline.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about movies. Do you want to get into the 30 worst movies of the 2010s? Or do you want to talk about the movie you forced me to watch yesterday? You put me on assignment. I didn't get a chance to go to the movie theater. And I'm jonesing a bit, thanks.
Yeah, we're far behind, too. I need to see 1917.
Yeah.
What's your schedule tonight? Maybe we should go.
That's pretty good root beer. I love that. Root beer is good. You ever had it or no?
Powerful.
Root beer 1919, I think. I was making a play on the movie 1917, and I got no laugh out of you. I might have to find a new co-host, okay?
Whoa.
All right. Whoa. Let's talk about your movie, that Netflix. Netflix, you know what I find amazing with Netflix is the amount of money they spend on content. And if you do the math, they have about 60 million paid subscribers. That's could have come down a little bit since Disney Plus came out. But if you figure the average ticket price is about $10 a month on Netflix, so what is 60 million times 10? I know, Dags, you and I both are going to have a hard time. Is that 60 billion? Is that correct?
I'm going to say no.
But when you take a look...
No, you know why I didn't answer?
Why?
Because I want the fans a flock of Amish. I want their brain to be stimulated.
Mm-hmm.
On this podcast, we stimulate every part of the body. Total stimulation.
So they've got about 60 million viewers at about $10 a month. But the amount of money that they spent, I want to say they want to spend about 16 billion in content this year. 16 billion.
Right. 16 billion.
Now, in that quest to find out is that their own content or is it for the rights to, I think part of that is the rights to show movies that they haven't, that are not Netflix originals as well too. But Netflix is spending record amount of money, just like Hollywood does for the movie box office. Netflix is doing it, and they're coming up with a lot of really, really good content. And so don't poo-poo the Netflix. If you can't get to the movie theater, I encourage people, jump on there, look at some of their original stuff, you know? And we did that. Dag said, I've seen The Witcher. Every time you go there, there's a promotion piece. Every time just like when The Irishman came out, you couldn't get on that site without seeing The Irishman. You know, are you sure you don't want to watch this now? No, I don't want to. Are you sure you don't want to watch this? Pretty please watch it? No, I'm not going to. Anyway, that's what they did with The Witcher too. So you said, Johnny Rage, watch it, and I did. And Dags, I know you were a big fan of Game of Thrones, and I'm going to start right there. Is this an attempt to be another Game of Thrones?
It's an old story. They're old Polish stories, and then they became powerful video games. But I can say that they are definitely influenced visually, by the show Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
The two stories have nothing to do with each other. But on this powerful podcast, as always, usually start out. So get into it, Johnny Rage. What do you think? What were your thoughts?
Well, I'm really that medieval time frame that they have. I'm really fickle. Some movies I really like the storyline, and I can get into it. It starts out really, really strong. The Witcher has an epic battle with this goofy looking monster right out of the gates. And he, of course, kicks the shit out of this monster and tries to bring its carcass in and get some money for it. But they never did say whatever happened to the body of that thing. But so it starts off really strong. I'm like, well, this is kind of cool. But then it kind of right away reminded me of that. What was that movie where back in the 80s, Dags, we've talked about this movie many times, not Hercules, but it was kind of like Hercules, but it had the lady with the snakes. Her hair came alive with snakes.
Clash of the Titans?
Yeah, that Clash of the Titans. That's what I was thinking of immediately when I started watching this thing. I thought it had a little little Clash of the Titans flavor to it. And it is a series, so you have to invest some time into this. I'm assuming there's just season 1 is out, correct? As of this point from this point forward, or as of this point, excuse me. It felt to me like I was watching a Game of Thrones episode. It had the epic battle scene. It had the castles. It was dark. That was one of your biggest complaints about a couple of the Game of Thrones. The filters, as you always like to say. There's always this dark fearfulness where these people this kingdom is being attacked, and how would you like to fight a battle like back in those days when they just would bludgeon you to death with this big ball of spikes in it, or just simply cut your head off with a 2-edged sword? What do you think about that, Dags?
No, it's just dumb luck. Yeah, you're running into each other full speed, and whoever swings quickest wins. I mean, you're right. It's just insane.
Back in those days, though, it was just the more men you had, I mean, the better chances you had.
Well, it's just like now. It's the same way. I mean, you can get overrun. Absolutely. That's why they usually call in airstrikes.
Well, that's true, but wars, I mean, back in the day, you look at, for instance, the Revolutionary War. They would line battalions up against each other and just fire. It wasn't until the Revolutionary War where we didn't have that amount of armies, so we had to invent guerrilla warfare. And today you can have
the guerrilla warfare that was messed up.
What do you mean?
Well, they had to open up all the zoos and let out the primates, and it was a mess.
And then let them fight the wars.
Yes,
and then
that's why it was guerrilla warfare. Yeah.
And then they called it Planet of the Apes. They made a movie of it.
Now, can I tell you something? You know what the chillest primate in the world is, Johnny Rage?
You? I'm sorry, who?
The orangutans. The orangutan, if you want to be politically correct. What a peaceful giant. Gentle giant, the orangutan, isn't it?
Why? Do you have a pet? Why? How do you know this? I mean, normally you see them and they're behind 6 inches of glass and bars and chain link and razor sharp barbed wire.
They're not. How do you know? What kind of evil zoos do you go to? I have a couple that live in the backyard. A couple of orangutans. They're gentle giants. They're beautiful creatures.
I thought those were your neighbors. They're actually your pets.
Yes. Now let's get back to The Witcher. Now, it had a bunch of tropes. It had a bunch of stereotypes. I love when he goes into the bar and they did the Old West. We don't
Mhm.
serve your kind here. And then,
You know,
and then they had all the guys stand up and
I was watching that movie and I said to myself, can we call it a movie? It was on Netflix. That still qualifies, right?
that's good enough. Call it a
Yeah.
movie.
But here it is. I don't even know what year this is. And they're drinking beer. I'm like, man, they had beer back then? How long has beer been around? I want to find out because the guy pulls up, like you said, to the bar and give me a beer. And I'm just like, dang, this guy's going to get after it. And this is like probably middle-aged times is what they appear
It's
to
some
be.
fantasy world and a fantasy continent. I mean, so just throw out your space and time. Just go with the Johnny Rage.
Yeah. But, I was trying to see the connections. They always have to speak in that English accent too. It's like, I've had enough of that. Okay. Just talk with a regular American accent. You know what I mean by
the star is British.
I don't give a shit.
What did you think of his acting?
Terrible. I thought it was bad.
Why do they always have to talk like this? They're always a strong, silent type, and
Yeah, I know. When you learned your lesson or you picked the wrong choice. I've heard that already. These one-liners, and he's trying to come off as something more than he really is, and trying to be this adult stud, and he's trying to be like that long-haired guy back in the '90s. What was his name? You're always better with names than I am. Fabio. And
I thought you were going to say Lorenzo Lamas.
No, I was going to say Dags. I'm sorry. But maybe it worked for some women. Kind of like, not Thor. Well, maybe Thor, but I was thinking of the other guy that played Aquaman. I guess women are kind of turned on to that big, muscular, long-haired, animalistic type look to him. But I was looking for some, like back in German Fest times, they've had the women's breast hanging out. I thought some of the waitresses might have had that. No, there's no eye candy for the men in this.
Well, there was a little bit in the fantasy world.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that. Yeah, what were they doing? These naked women are just kind of petting these trees. It's like
they're grooming. They're picking the fruits. It's a very beautiful place to be.
Yeah, I guess they kind of made this utopia out of it with these naked women. And I thought, wait a minute, this is Game of Thrones-ish with that. Dags, I watched it because you basically forced me to, and you said I could never come on this podcast again if I didn't.
What did you think of the epic battle in the streets between him and the henchmen, and then finally him and the?
Well, keep in mind, I watch Chuck Norris every night, and that's a daily battle for him. It's Rambo-esque. It's the good guy hero takes 10 guys out. I mean, it was very stereotypical. You knew he wasn't going to be killed.
No, but the sword fighting was pretty cool, didn't you think?
Yeah, and the where they're lopping heads off, pretty graphic. Which, if you ever saw 300, same type of thing. Big double-edged axes, just double-sided axes, lopping guys' heads off. Just evil ways to kill somebody back in those days. Just brute force is how you kill them. Would you rather have your head lopped off, Dags, or be shot? Which one would you prefer?
That's a good question. I don't know. You choose for me.
Well, I'd like to put a bullet in your head if quite honestly, does that work?
Why so much rage?
I don't know. I'm bitter you made me sit through that 58 minutes of The Witcher. The Witcher.
So I think now we know conclusively that you don't like sword and sorcery movies.
Yeah, pretty much affirmative on that. Yep. But you give me your thoughts, because that's more your lane than mine. That's your world.
I would watch it again. It wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was the best, but the sword fights were pretty cool. I like the magic. We'll see what more they do with the magic. That was cool. And his thing is he fights legendary monsters. So you like monsters, so you might want to stick around and see in the next episode
Mhm.
if he battles some other cool monsters.
But did you feel like there was anything at the end? They usually do a better job at crafting a reason to watch the next one. I didn't really feel it. It's like it could have ended at that point. There wasn't any real cliffhanger like, oh, I got to watch the next one. You know how sometimes you can start binging those shows because it's always the last 5 minutes. You're like, oh my God, just one more. I got to see what happens. I didn't get that feeling out of this one. It was kind of like, okay, pretty much watch it. Don't have to watch the next one. Did you feel like there was any compelling reason?
No, you're right. But I think maybe it's kind of like Incredible Hulk when he goes to the new town every time. You know, the cowboy that, you know, goes to a new town and starts a new adventure. You know, it's been done a lot. So maybe this show is, well, maybe that's cool too. A lot of times people don't like to get into series because each one involves the other one. And then they feel, well, I started late. I'm not going to get, maybe this one is, I haven't watched any of the other episodes, but maybe this one is just like each episode is like a little movie. I don't know.
I would beg to, I don't think that's going to be the case because there was enough content to lead you to believe that the new queen had to have, that was his destiny. And I think he's going to be watching over her in the next episode, and it will be continue on, and she'll come back to fight for her kingdom. And you can see everything that's going to happen. You know, she'll assemble a new army. They'll come back. They'll take the castle back, and they'll do an honor of her mother. The Witcher will help. And then when it's all done, the Witcher will get on his horse. Where are you going? I'm a one-man deal. I don't like people, you know, and he'll drive off into the sunset to the next. That'll be the next adventure at that point. You know?
No, you're right. I mean, every show, every, you know, genre, whatever, they all have their stereotypes and tropes, and you know what's going on. And it's basically, you like the stuff or you don't. It's like Arnold movies or any of those action movies. You know exactly what's going to happen. But you like it, you enjoy it. So with this, if you're into sword and sorcery, you know the queen, the king, like you said, and in this, she showed off she had this mutant power, and then under stress, the mutant power was revealed. So you're absolutely right.
The princess did.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. Do you dig this kind of stuff or you don't?
Now, I liked Braveheart, which, when I say storylines, would be very similar, and I don't mean, I guess not storylines, but epic battle scenes, very similar time periods. If there is a time period for The Witcher, it would have closely resemble that of Braveheart. Braveheart definitely had a much better storyline to it, though, of course, because actually Braveheart's a true story, and that's sometimes truth is greater than fiction, right? And I enjoyed that epic feature. And I have a hard time, though, after Braveheart to jump on the bandwagon or anything else. Game of Thrones, I struggled with that one. I know you loved it, and you're not the only one. A lot of people loved it, but I didn't care for Witcher.
That episode, out of 5 buggy wheels, what are you giving it?
1.5.
Whoa, that bad. Wasn't entertaining to you.
Well, I kind of explained for various reasons why it wasn't. Yeah. What do you give it?
I give it 3.5.
Wow. Dags, that's fairly high. I didn't think you were going to go there. I didn't see that coming.
It was a pretty entertaining show. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it had, you know, he's battling the cool monsters. I like cool monsters. Had some good sword fighting. You're absolutely right about the dark. The whole castle thing was way too dark. And I get it. It was lit by candles. I get that. But crank up the brightness, you know?
See, the problem is with that darkness, the story is lost. Sometimes you can't follow along because you don't know who's who. And that's what I don't like about that. And I get we're using candle as light. We're not using LEDs, but it's kind of like going into a Mexican restaurant. You don't have to have the Mexican music on there. We get it. We're in a Mexican restaurant. It's the same thing too with this. We get it. It's the dark ages. You're using candlelight, but come on, give us light so we know exactly what's happening. You know, so I had another point, Dags, that came to mind as I was just talking brilliance there, but talk amongst yourselves until I can figure out what I was going to say.
Now, Johnny Rage, like I said, I agree with you on the darkness, on the castle. I would have changed that, but all in all, it was a good first episode. I would watch it again.
Oh, I know what I was going to ask you, Dags. Let's talk about this as a series, so it sounds like you'll watch maybe indefinitely. I don't know, but do you think the success with right now you can binge watch anything?
And I purposely do not binge watch this. So what happens with me on binge watching is, the first one, what is it, an hour long? So energy wise, you're good. You got your treats set up, your snacks, whatever. But then as it goes on, you get tired. And your ability to focus, to pay attention, and distractions come in. So I don't like to binge watch. I like to watch a fresh show, maybe two, but that's about as far as I go. I don't binge watch whole seasons.
Well, I mean, I get that, but part of binge watching is you're into something that's really gripping, and it's addictive. And you're watching this, you're like, back in the old days, you have to watch for the previews for the next week and then wait 7 days and then watch it again. Where now you're like, oh, thank God, I just hit skip intro and I'm into the next one again. But I also want to ask you a question, Days, because you're such a fan of Game of Thrones. Do you think the appeal to that was the fact that you couldn't binge watch that and you had to wait, just like back when we were younger, every Sunday before the next one came out? Do you think that's what got people excited and whipped up and wanting it more because they couldn't get it, that instant gratification wasn't there and they had to wait for the next week?
There's a lot to be said about that. You're absolutely right. That is powerful. Anticipation.
Well,
I'm
obviously
pouring that ketchup. Yeah, anticipation is powerful. That's why you love Christmas. You get all excited. Growing up, we used to have Christmas drills where we'd run downstairs and practice opening presents. That's a true story.
I love it. I mean, that's a typical 60s and 70s thing. We all did stuff like that.
Go. No, anticipation is great. That's the thing I would not like about binge watching is that we live in such a society now that everything's instantaneous and you don't get those feelings, like you said, they don't do cliffhangers on this because they knew they'd all ram it together anyway. So I like the cliffhangers. I like waiting till next week. You talk about your friends. You talk with your friends. You talk about our friends who are the flock of Amish. God bless you. God bless everyone that listens to this powerful podcast.
God bless us, everyone.
Hold up your drink right now, fans, flock of Amish, and take a sip. Salute. Cheers. Wherever you are in the world, drink up. But I agree, Johnny Rage. I do like the anticipation. And that probably is a big part of the Game of Thrones, building the hype episode after episode. It's like a football game. What if football games are all ran into one thing? What would you think?
Well, I mean, that's a prime example. You have the Super Bowl. They do that deliberately, too. A couple of reasons. Number one, they want to give both teams kind of a chance to heal themselves. But, we had the NFC Championship, AFC Championship game last week. And now it's 2 weeks. We have to sit here and wait before the Super Bowl.
Maybe we have to mentally heal ourselves from each episode.
From the football game or from the Game of Thrones once a week episode?
Or the Amish Baby Machine Pop Culture Podcast, the most powerful podcast ever created. I mean, you listen to our powerful podcast, you're empowered, and then you wait for the powerful new episode to come out.
And you get a built-in power button on your back, and you just hit it.
Yeah. I don't know if I let you know. This just happened, Johnny Rage. I don't know if you knew, but the power company sent me an email.
Yeah.
They're giving me a credit on my next bill.
Okay.
Because they're actually using the power of this podcast. They're putting it in the grid.
Oh, nice.
We're much like solar panels.
I like it. Yeah. Because there's we're like windmills. We're blowing a lot of wind out of this thing, right?
Powerful.
Are you a big fan of Seth MacFarlane? He does the Orville. He does Family Guy.
Incredibly talented. Not a big fan. I find him kind of annoying.
Okay, then let me ask you this.
He reminds me of Peter Brady. Doesn't he look like Peter Brady?
Kind of, yeah. I can see that now.
Yes, he's Peter Brady.
But now you said he's incredibly talented, but you can't stand him. So that's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it?
Not at all. But I'm just saying pure talent. He's there's a lot of talented things, it might be a type of music I don't like, but I appreciate the talent in it.
Okay, now when I watch, and I very rarely do watch, I'm not a big guy to watch cartoons, animated productions. Um, Family Guy and American Dad. Does that take creativity to do something like that? I don't get it. I watch those shows and I shake my head. It's like, that's funny. And all of his character voices, there's no real marquee one that you really could pull out, like Bugs Bunny or Popeye or Fred Flintstone even. He's got just a bunch of generic voices that he uses for his cartoon characters. I don't see the talent in this guy. I mean, I think he's fooled more people than he's got talent.
Well, you can argue that he ripped off The Simpsons and different things, ripped off South Park and, jumped on the bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
So do you get most of the references when he refers to things or?
See, I can't, you talk about holding your attention span and whatnot. The minute I turn that on, I think I just have this immediate disgust and I don't watch it. I'm just not, I've never did much for me. I tried to watch the Orville the other day, and that's definitely a Star Trek spoof. I didn't like Star Trek. So why the heck am I going to watch a spoof of Star Trek for the most part? It must work though. What he does must work, obviously, because NBC wants to try to steal him from Fox. And check this out, Diggs. According to my sources, while neither network has commented on the shift, it's reported to be a 5-year, $200 million deal for him to move over to NBC. But Fox apparently made a valiant effort to keep MacFarlane, but was simply outbid by its competitor. This is what he says. He says one of his oldest memories from Fox is a young, or who is this speaking? They're saying they remember a young Seth MacFarlane hanging out in the halls of the studio. Disney Television Studios and ABC Entertainment chairman Dana Walden said he entertained all of us with his incredible wit and hilarious observations. See, I guess when you have a personal relationship with him, maybe you'd find him funny. I've seen him though, doing talk shows. I've seen his stuff on TV, and I don't get him. I'm sorry, I don't. Is there something wrong with me, Dave? Should I seek treatment for this?
No, you're just a unique young man. Now let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Is there any animated series, comedy-wise, that you like? Simpsons, South Park, any of that?
I like to turn back the clock when it comes to that, and I'll watch like an episode of Scooby-Doo or the Flintstones, and those are timeless. I think those are done well. The storylines, and I don't laugh much, but sometimes when I'm watching the Flintstones, in the middle by myself, I'll have a belly laugh. I enjoy the older ones. The new stuff of today, it's dirty humor. It's political humor, and we don't need that. We get enough of that with the news telecasts and the award shows. We don't need to turn to that on our cartoons as well.
So there's nothing, you don't like any South Park episodes? Have you actually sat through a South Park episode?
Mm-hmm. I have. There's one in particular that comes to mind. Now, to say that none of them are funny, Dags, that would be incorrect. But did you ever see the one where it's pretty notorious, where the one dude is on, not Jeopardy, but what's the Pat Sajak show?
Wheel of Fortune.
Have you ever seen that episode?
Absolutely.
I think everybody in the world has seen that one. That's funny.
What's cool about funny. South Park is they have some hall pass on being politically incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it amazing what they say and they never get in trouble? They don't get deplatformed.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's because it came out so long ago that people don't attack them.
Well, when Disney Plus came out, they had to apologize. They said because some of the, content that we have, keep in mind, was made back in the 50s and 60s, and the views and the thoughts were much different than what they are today. So, yeah, it was a much different time back then. But I don't think it would require Disney Plus to pull some of those iconic cartoons because of maybe some of the things they said.
Back to the animated. So you don't like anything animated. You like classic animation. You like 60s and earlier.
You can't say I don't like anything animated. I do. I just like the older stuff. I don't like any of the new stuff.
You prefer, 60s and before.
Well, I mean, how The Simpsons has made it 25 some years is beyond me. I mean, there are times it's funny, but there are more times that it's not. And so I'm questioning the viewership of America. What's turning us on? Is that really, that's the best we have to offer? And that's what people are buying into? I don't get it. I don't get it, Dave.
Okay, Boomer, I got to ask you something.
Go ahead.
That has been made recently do you enjoy? What things progressively do you enjoy?
Well,
that aren't way back from the 60s.
Well, we talked about this just yesterday, and it's not new, but they've released their 11th season on HBO is Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I think that shit's hilarious because I connect with Larry David. Those small little nuances that he picks up on and makes a big deal, that's kind of my sense of humor, too, the same thing. So when he rolls with something, I'm like, my God, I thought of the same thing. I think that's brilliant. I think that comedy is funny. I think Larry David is funny. I think that program is funny. But that would be a program I don't think you'll see millennials jump on board for something like that. You'd have to be probably 40 plus. That's why certain movies, certain animations are put out there for specific demographics. But I think Curb Your Enthusiasm is top notch. And Diggs, I don't watch a lot of TV unless I'm watching football or news. I don't watch anything. Well, I guess I did watch 911 Lone Star with Rob Lowe.
Tell us, the fans of Flock of Amish, about Lone Star and 911.
Rob Lowe makes a return to television. I think the last thing he was on was when he did that White House program, which was called The West Wing. But he comes back now. He's a captain of some fire department located down in Texas. And, of course, it's a 911. We all remember Emergency 911 when we were kids. It's kind of a reboot, newer version of that with sexy women and young studs, being called out to the casualties or fires or heart attacks or somebody's in quicksand and they, it's kind of a...
Did you say quicksand?
I did. I threw quicksand in there.
It's called quicksand, but it slowly kills you. Just let that sink in for a minute.
I was listening to a radio program the other day, and there's a comedian out there who he said the cartoon versions of quicksand ruined his life and his beach life for the rest of his life. He could never go on a beach because of the depiction of quicksand.
Sounds like he's a beach. All right, so tell us about Rob Lowe.
I just did. He makes a return to Fox Television. His role this time, but there's always, back in the day, there was never these side deals going on where there was this affair and relationships. There was just calamity and they took care of it. There was always a small incident or two, and then it would always at the end build up to some major thing. They don't have that anymore. They've got an accident here, but then it's more about the relationship with this guy and this guy, or this girl and that guy. And the baby, do we want to have a baby? Do we not want to have a baby? They have to, they introduce the characters and you have to understand. I don't want that. I want to go and the 75-story building explodes. Go take care of it. Show me how you're going to do it. I want to get into it, and that's not what this is. It's more relationships and personal level and what makes each person tick. And that's what you get from this new stuff.
But a lot of times you love those teeny bopper shows and they have all the relationships. So I'm confused.
Well, like what program has all those relationships? And I do like teeny bopper shows. Some of the horror films out there, there's really no relationships. They just get after it. Bam. You're supposed to die on this day in 3 hours, and the girl walks down the block and sure as shit, she died. We didn't have to see where her boyfriend was. We didn't know who her mom was. We didn't care. She died. That's what we want to see, Do
you tell the kids to get off your lawn?
No, but Diggs, that's one of the reasons I liked Underwater so much. When I reviewed that last week, it was bam, it started right away. calamity struck. We're in trouble here. I mean, it didn't build up to it. We're laughing and playing the old 60s music in the background. And the guy says he can't wait to get home because he misses his wife. It was bam, trouble strikes right there, And then they introduced the characters as we went along. But no, I don't care if kids walk on my lawn.
Now, Johnny Rage, get back to your list. What else do you have on that powerful list?
Well, I mean, we just talked about Seth MacFarlane. That's big news. Seth MacFarlane moving from Fox over to NBC.
$200 million.
Oh, man. That's another thing, too.
Just let me interrupt.
Go ahead.
Just to let you know, we are an indie podcast, but we are willing to sell out.
Tony Romo, Dags. Do you know who he is?
He will be the most highly paid sports announcer.
Yeah, he's another guy making a switch. We're talking about Seth MacFarlane going over to NBC. Well, Tony Romo looks like he's going to leave CBS to go over to ESPN, which is shocking because ESPN has been doing so many layoffs lately, getting rid of their top talent. But what happened over there is they bought the rights to Monday Night Football, which is absolutely bombing because Monday Night Football back in the day when you and I were young, if your team was on Monday Night Football, you talk about anticipation, you couldn't wait. I mean, Monday night, you couldn't get there fast enough.
Quick, do the theme song.
Dun, 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 dun. That was like the one night your mom will let you stay up late because the Vikings were on back then. And now football's on damn near 4 nights a week. But anyway, ESPN bought the rights. They've got Monday Night Football. They've had it for a while. But the ratings aren't doing very well. So their answer isn't maybe the content of the show. It's like, we need Tony Romo to spike our ratings. I really enjoy Tony Romo as a color analyst in football. But is Tony Romo going to make me watch Monday Night Football? Not necessarily. I'm looking at the two teams that are playing that night on the field. If it's halfway through the season or 2/3, and you have a team that's 2-10 playing a team that's 10-2, not so much. Not going to watch it. So I don't know if the gamble's going to pay off for him or not.
All right, let me ask you this: who are your favorite duo over the years on Monday Night Football?
I like Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. They're my favorite two.
Whoa, most people hate them.
No, they're the number one. Number two would be Al Michaels.
No, dude, a lot of people hate those two.
No, they're the top two. Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth.
All right. I thought you being such an old man, I thought you'd be going way back.
No, I'm talking about currently right now.
No, I'm talking about Monday Night Football throughout the history.
I liked Pat Summerall to the 20, to the 10, touchdown Dallas.
Here's a guy that can do a good Pat Summerall.
Hey, we could do a Pat Summerall and John Madden show. No, but I'm talking about currently. I like Buck and Aikman. I like Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth. And then my third would be Tony Romo. Tony Romo is insightful. The guy really knows football. He'll call a play before it even happens. The problem with him is I can't stand his raspy voice. He's got that raspy voice that looks like he needs water. Sounds like he needs water. But he's very insightful, talks too much for me. But ESPN wants him. So, but they haven't heard me yet. To the 20, to the 10, touchdown Dallas. Hi, this is Pat Summerall with John Madden. What you see there is you got the ball. You got the ball. Oh, man. Some of the best stuff is Frank Caliendo doing here.
Here's a guy ripping off Frank Caliendo.
Yeah. Well, some of Caliendo's best stuff, too, is not even Madden, but it's when he does Bush, too. He does one of the best Bush impersonations out there.
Bush of that. Powerful episode today. We thank everyone that listens. Thank you, Johnny Rage, for being a part of this powerful podcast. We just ask you one thing. Please tell a friend about this powerful podcast. We are an indie podcast. We need your help. Go to AmishBabyMachine.com. Check out our merch. Follow us on all the social medias. Twitter at AmishBMachine. Instagram AmishBabyMachine. Go to YouTube, subscribe, and like. And until next time, you've just enjoyed the Amish Baby Machine Pop Culture Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Amish Baby Machine Pop Culture Podcast. It is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and everywhere else fine podcasts are found. Please support our podcast through Patreon and shop our merch at AmishBabyMachine.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This has been an Amish Baby Machine production.